Talking about sponsorship from Toto, but industry is different. We have to go look for projects. It's different. But this one, the Toto that he's talked about, but I think we no longer enjoy such privilege. Right? We used to be able to ask for very high, I mean, when I was supervisor, I have asked for a few times very high budget that they give. Now it's very stringent, yeah. So, okay, this is one funding he's talking about, industry. Now, the third one, where does it come from? What happens if students don't get these two funding? Each school will have a budget, but the one is very little. Each student is given about like $500. Whereas for the Toolbox Fund, you can ask up to 5,000. At one stage, up to 10,000, if that's the reason. So the students who have no valid projects, then they only get about 500. This is the standard budget for students.
So how many members in the team?
About maximum 6.
Maximum 6.
Yeah, for my school. No, we don't have one student projects. Usually 2 or 6, yes. I don't think they can do much on their own. Yeah.
In the case of 6, how you evaluate it?
Okay, we have a supervisor. So the supervisor is the one who monitors the performance of the 6 students. But at the end of the projects, they have to write a report. There will be another examiner. And then at the end, there's 2 ways they have to show their projects. One is through exhibition. They must compulsory. Yeah? Those who don't exhibit, I think they lose about 10% of the marks. And then the other one is by viva. That means the students, there's another examiner who will interview the students to find out whether they actually do the work. So we have like, at the end of the term, we say, okay, allocate 3 days just for viva. So all the students got to be interviewed. So there are 2 means of assessment. The third one is the supervisors themselves, because they know how the student works. Okay?
So how can you know that this student work and another student didn't work?
As a supervisor, I think you will know. You have to know. I mean, you have to know, and you test them. Like I will test my students and say, okay, tell me which part do you do? Or there's a leader. I'll say, okay, can you tell me our 6 members who is doing what? So I ask them to write it down. So you know when you actually assess them, you test them on the parts that they're doing. And then we have a very comprehensive marking scheme. We use the CDIO scheme, which I will be sharing. I mean, under component 2. What are the marking scheme, the rubrics? Okay, so it's quite comprehensive. Anything to add, Lily?
Also back to your question about how do you know whether they're doing the work or not. So one of the things that we also try to do with the faculty is to have a peer assessment put in place as well. Of course, there are some weakness to that. You know, they all say we give each other high marks. Of course, then the supervisor will have to play the main role there. Yeah, but we find most of the cases they do honestly rate each other. I think, if I'm not mistaken, in the School of Triple E, yes, they have a very interesting system. Is it the ranking system? Yeah.
Okay, Merlin was talking about the peer assessment. When the group is big, we give a form to the group to indicate the percentage of contribution from each member, and each task adds up to 100%. Okay, so you cannot have 2 persons do more. You know, so each task, that particular task, 100% of each person's contribution. So we will ask them to subdivide the task into various tasks, and then every task there's a certain percentage, and at the end you have a column which shows the total contribution from each member. So that part we know is very stressful for them, but we don't want to know. So at the end, when they pass the form to us, okay, we will see how. But surprisingly, we thought all of them would just collaborate or cooperate, everybody get equal. But most cases it's not. Okay, they are quite honest, because if they didn't do it, they will just tell the other person the other one do more. So that peer-to-peer assessment form a certain percentage of the marks. Okay, so there are many ways of doing it.
So just to add, we do help design the peer assessment form. You know, to focus on what we feel are key qualities that we want them to assess. So there is a design form, and we work with the faculty very closely to design that form. Yeah.
just to help you all, maybe my school is a very super on school.
Hey, anyway, I left my school already, so.
What actually happened is that because there's so many different groups of projects, so we subdivide them into clusters. And under each cluster, there is a leader who is so-called more specialized in that particular area. So he will appoint one or two person among the faculty who are also expert, and they will walk around to assess. So that form one component, okay? Because we don't want to give the full component to the supervisor to give the full marks. So that's one component dedicated for that part, okay? And then supervisor also will have one component, and even within tomorrow I will be sharing with you the rubric, some method. So I think just hold your horses first. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, now that he said it, okay, when I say this, that means the students, there's exhibition. I mean, I think there's some similarity. At the end of the day, when they're doing when there's exhibition, we have a group of examiner who goes around looking at every single projects. And then after that, they have their own rating because they are the one who decide which projects get gold, silver, and bronze. And after that, when the supervisor submitted the marks, this committee will sit down and assess. They also give marks to the projects because they go around and they assess their marks against the supervisor marks. Because sometimes supervisors are very kind, they give high marks, but the project is not working, you know. So then there's a great difference. They will then moderate the marks. And of course, after moderation, some supervisors are not happy. So if, let's say you think your students really deserve mark, I usually put on the remark, does the student really deserve an A grade or B grades? So that if they give a mark which is far away from what I give or any supervisor give, they will always come back and ask. Okay? So that means there are two, beside another person who is marking, there's an overall committee who also look at the quality because they are the one who look across board. Make sure all the projects are, the quality, the standards are equal or standard. Or okay, is that the way you all do it?
We all have all the frameworks, but
Get tired.
the work rate is
No, I was still going strong. Because you know why we have exhibition, we invite everybody from industry and the school students. So it's a very, very big event. I think the next time we have exhibition, I'll let you know. You want to have a look? It's a very big event and the students got to dress up, no, and sell their projects. So we make it very professional. It's not like, you know, something which they hide. And the best projects are chosen in the prominent area. So all students try very hard to get their projects displayed in the prominent area. So those projects which are no good, they are being hidden somewhere in the bedroom. But there's an exhibition as well.
for inviting people from industry.
Yes. That means whenever there's a project exhibition for 3 days, we invite the schools, we invite people from industry. And there's one night which is called Industry Night. So we invite all those people from industry to come and view the projects. Sometimes they see certain projects, they're interested, they actually ask, they want to buy the projects. We have 1 or 2 cases like that. So it's a very big event. It's something very, the student very proud of it. You know, because you make it so important, they feel the importance.
I will show a short video of that.
Did you have that? So if to keep the steam going, I always feel that there must be competition to keep the steam going. I mean, that's
Just to add, you know, because we are a polytechnic, and of course we always punch above our weight. So, in fact, this, as we call it nowadays, last time it used to be called Spinovax. Now it's called SP Engineering Show. Actually,
I mean, I think it's okay because they give you a different perspective to what industry needs. I mean, we're not afraid to show. Yeah.
But what about the how does that affect the kids?
Okay.
We taught them one way and they do it that way,
It doesn't matter,
Once
right?
the industry comes in, they critique.
Okay.
You shouldn't do this.
Do we have this problem? I no. Okay. My mechanical school and electrical run differently. I think they get industry to mark the projects, right? We
get
don't.
industry mark projects.
They get industry to mark projects.
Okay, usually we don't have big conflict. Okay, usually we don't have big conflict because they understand the students' capability and their objectives. And usually when the industry comes, it's not just one person. It's usually 2 or 3 from a panel. Okay, so when they walk around, the staff will be also with them. So when they ask questions, it's outline. So the staff should, at that point in time, should try to explain, okay, and try to moderate. So I think that is how we try to moderate the session, so that we don't have big misunderstanding about the learning objective. You know, so I think that's how we can help to moderate and soften the problem.
But if let's say you're doing industry projects, then it's a different ballgame because we involve industry from the early stage.
be quite a number of videos inside here, all right, to showcase what we do or what we did in the School of Triple E. Those of you who were at the morning session, the later part of morning session, would have gotten some understanding on the overview of what we do in our School of Triple E. Those who miss it, maybe I'll advise you all to maybe look at the video again, all right, to go back and see where I'm coming from. There are many so-called projects, little projects that we do in our School of Triple E, okay. So I will try to share with you some of them, okay. Okay, the first one is called the Introduction to Engineering.